Nine Lives versus White Wolf Game 2. White Wolf just came out of a very convincing win after a relatively even start to the game. Jeff, what would you like to see here different out of Team Nine Lives in this next game?
I mean, it was very interesting because we have these aggressive players in Brandan and Gregosaurus down in the bottom lane. I know that they both really like to try to get off to a quick start, go for lane kills and things. And but the team overall drafted a very late game scaling composition. So to me, if you want to go for those early plays, as tempting as it is, you don't really want to be picking the Vayne. Um, it's a champion that if it gets rolling, of course, is insane. But just the player personalities versus the team composition there were kind of at odds, in my opinion.
Right, and it was a very feast or famine team comp, but it was a famine, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
You don't have
so maybe some safer choices coming out of Team Nine Lives this time around.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much potential for some insane scaling, but scaling doesn't matter when you end up losing at whatever it was, 24 minutes.
Exactly.
So a Lucian ban right away from White Wolf, and Xerath coming back from Nine Lives.
Let's see.
It'll be interesting to see, how drastically Nine Lives does change things up here, because as we've talked about, these are new teams, people getting to know their new teammates. How comfortable are you in a situation like this telling or asking one of your teammates, like, no, you got to do something different?
Yeah, exactly. And many of these players are veterans, and I'm sure their egos aren't going to be too bruised off of one or two things here. But it is always a little bit unfun to be on the wrong end of a beat down like the last game. I did note that both
certainly.
Pike and Lux merited bans out of Team Nine Lives here. They obviously don't want to face that again, so that is one way to create change.
Certainly, yeah, some quick reactions to those picks, and an immediate first pick for Urgot in the top lane for Nine Lives. I believe that they picked Urgot extremely early in the draft last game as well. So not sure if Slippery is just a specialist on that champion, or if it's something that they really just think they can work around.
Right, and there's been no pressure towards that Urgot that I know of. Maybe Baconlicious is also great on Urgot and they're picking it away or something. But it is weird that they put that much priority on it. That's a great observation.
And Sion and Xayah coming back from White Wolf on their first rotation. So same champions, hoping for the same result, and Nebulon on the Jax again. So right now we've had 4 picks, and they're all the same.
So if it wasn't for those 2 bans, I'd wonder if you're going to get a mirror match for the.
Yeah, maybe we got a chrono break.
Yeah.
And 5 for 5 now with another Veigar. We'll see.
I do know that CB Hickey's Veigar is on his champion pool. His champion pool is it's not necessarily small, but he's got a couple ones that he favors.
We'll see if Primogen is going to pick for himself at this point. Might make sense since you know the mid laner that you're going up against. Kale. Okay, so that can cancel out that burst. No, going to go with the Malzahar and the Spell Shield.
Yeah, for that.
Champions here for Primogen. Long range, wave clear, relatively safe.
And decent into Veigar because of that passive Spell Shield. It's so important.
Let me get in there.
Kale's not a bad pick either because you come with that immune, but I was wondering if he's trolling us or if he was debating picking it. A Tristana ban coming in to target that Brandanus Tristana, which is a very scary Tristana. I can absolutely respect that ban. I noticed that Kaisa hasn't been banned away yet. I haven't scouted out Brandana all that much, so I'm wondering if he's been practicing it or not. But I just love the champion.
No Rakan ban yet, so you're willing to give over that Xayah Rakan combo.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
You have lost a
yeah,
There's the
both.
Kaisa.
Yeah,
Good job,
yeah.
Prophet Ben.
Maybe I shouldn't have said something. But, yeah, Rakan and Rakan and Zaya are both relatively strong champions in their own right, but they're just that much more so when they're in the same team together due to those
course.
bonuses.
Seriously?
Yeah,
And there goes
there it
the
is.
Rakan ban. Okay,
Seriously?
so the
Lame.
last two bans go according to plan. And now let's see, what are we looking for still on the side of what it was? A jungler and a support?
Nami
There.
is
Support.
a very powerful support currently, so that's going to be a bit of a pain to deal with. A lot of sustain, disengage, and engage. That's what makes Nami so strong. So we'll have to see what they pick into this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like a Braum or a Tom Kench, but that depends on what champion Gregosaurus wants to pull out.
Yeah, now this is interesting to me. Maybe it's a little bit, overly nitpicky, but neither team has really been drafting in a way that prioritizes counter picks in the solo lanes. For 9 lives, I mean, you had the immediate top lane pick and also your mid lane in the first rotation. So White Wolf were able to react to both of those solo lane picks without even having to save them for the second rotation.
Right, and normally that's something that I always value in my solo queue matches or whatever. I don't want to get countered at all. So it's interesting that these teams are coming up with comps where it's more important to get their desired champion than it is to counter pick, because that shows that they have something up their sleeve. There is a plan to this.
Jinx Braum coming out in the bottom lane. So once again, we have this bot lane down here that I would expect them to try to be aggressive once again. It's just the way these two players seem to like to play, but it's a very heavy scaling comp once again from 9 Lives. Very, very similar to last game. You've got the tank support and then the hyper carry, AD carry, and then the exact same 3 champions in the other roles. So we'll see if 9 Lives can just do better on take 2.
Yeah, exactly. And the Jinx is no safer than the Vayne, but one of the advantages to Jinx over Vayne is that Jinx gets to stay a little bit further back, and that Vayne was a little bit too close to comfort in many of the team fights last game. So I do think that is a intelligent change. Still, though, a very feast or famine comp again coming out of 9 Lives.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less so, but here's hoping that they make it a close match.
Now, out of the side of White Wolf, not to be overly critical or overstate 9 Lives using the same things. We have 3 of the same champions on the side of White Wolf as well, and who knows, we might have gotten 5 if they hadn't banned away the Lux Pipe. But of course, when you just won a game with a 23-2 kill count, it makes a lot more sense to stay with the exact same thing than if you had been on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, and one thing I will point out is that Malzahar, he's not the highest damage mage. That's not the reason you pick Malzahar. Lux is bringing a little bit more damage to the table. So it is really a 1 damage source coming off that Xayah, who is one of the safest AD carries. But if that Xayah gets caught out, there isn't much damage in the rest of the team to come through. So
yeah, that's a good point.
At least when fighting...
Sorry, you definitely have a priority target, which I think traditionally has always been the marksman being the priority target, but in this case, perhaps even more so.
Yeah, but in contrast, Team 9 Lives, you have to kill 3/5 of their team before you feel safe. So.
Yeah, certainly. Once again, as you said, feast or famine. The first time was not good for them using this type of composition. So hopefully we get a more even, more contested game in game 2. For those of you who might be new to the LCS, we do use a best of 2 format here. So this is a chance for 9 Lives to rescue a point, essentially, get a 1-1, and not get zeroed out for the week. In our first set of games, we had option 12, get the 2-0, which is worth 3 points in the standings. So a lot on the line in this game, despite the fact that we won't actually potentially get a definitive outcome. So as we move in, under a minute on this spectator delay now. Any surprises, particularly individual performances from game one for you, Ben?
Sorry, what was that? Any surprising differences?
Anyone's performance in particular surprise you, impress you?
Maya Chan's Pike. That's probably my favoritism towards Pike in general, but Maya Chan played that super well. Really, everyone had a solid performance on Team White Wolf's side, but if I had to shout out anyone, it would have been that Pike from Amaya Chan. On Team Nine Life side, I don't know. There were individual moments of really good plays, but I don't know that anyone had a stellar game from start to finish.
Sure, and I'm sure they'd be the first to agree with you. It's hard to really feel like you played well when the game was so one-sided against you. But I would agree there were a couple. Nebulon got a couple of very nice stuns off onto multiple members, but unfortunately they were just too far behind at that point to take advantage. As we move into the loading screen now, we want to give a shout out once again to Nero. This is the Nero Skin Showdown. Who are you giving the advantage to this time, Ben?
That is a great question that I would love to answer as soon as I get my overlays in place. There we go.
Well, for me, we talked about the Leprechaun Vigar last time. Ambitious Elf Jinx is a favorite of mine. I've always liked the Snowdown Showdown skin so much, so I'm going to have to give it away to 9 Lives for that. A reminder that the LCUS is brought to you by Old Hosts. And as we get into game here, 9 Lives looking to salvage a 1-1 White Wolf. They want that full point potential. They want to get that 2-0.
And
So as both teams head out of the gates, looks like a focus on bottom side. All 5 members of White Wolf, Bacon Wishes, swerve up to the north now. So it looks like pretty standard positioning for these guys. No shenanigans early on.
there we go. Sorry to leave you on an island there.
It's all right. I love to hear my voice. So
As do I. Looking at the initial spread here, it looks like we have 2 very safe early game comps as we're hitting the 1-minute mark in this game. It looks like we won't have any early game shenanigans to work with, just a very even start here, or a very standard start, I should say. Looks like bot lane focus out of both of our junglers.
And red and blue stars respectively for Nebulon and Spicy Hot Meme. Those buffs about to pop out. And 2-1, here we go. Finally, we get the action started.
Ooh, an early teleport out of Baconlicious. Yeah.
Not sure, maybe he forgot to buy, or I'm not sure what happened there. Will not know that has happened, so unless Slippery gets a big chunk down or something, it probably won't end up mattering.
Yeah, not always the biggest thing, but still, not how you want to start a game if you're the Scion. Oh, and both junglers are going to contest over the Scuttle Crab here, so we have a little skirmish that I'm sure is going to happen. And Spicy Hot doesn't want to give it up.
Yeah, Spicy, taken low though. Nebulon with the red buff. It's always dangerous to duel blue against red. Oh, Gregosaurus did land the Q, but a flash over from Spicy Hot Meme will keep him alive. Nebulon got that Scuttle Crab as well, so certainly an early win on the side of 9 Lives.
I'm sure they'll take it, and I'm sure White Wolf will take another Infernal Drake if they're able to establish a lead like they were last time. This is a very similar looking start in terms of objectives to our first game. And I would argue that Team White Wolf has the better team fight comp again, so I'm sure they're happy to see that Infernal Drake.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about earlier the team composition of 9 lives. They need time to scale, and so if you're White Wolf, you got to try to push to your advantage early. I think Wolf obviously first establish an advantage, but then push it.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta put one foot before the other. Yeah. CB Hickey's man is low again, so he's using that ability to clear, probably as a way to cope with the poke that Primedon's Malzahar's been putting out. That is a little bit tough to deal with.
Yeah, the Voidlings push.
Looks like a gank's coming up here in top lane.
Yeah, Bacon Wish is able to get out. Did have to burn his flash as Nebulon showed up, and now Spicy Hot Meme and Nebulon are going to run into each other again. This time they each have the other buff, but Spicy Hot Meme is about half health and will use that Scuttle Crab. 2 Nebulon, so both Scuttle Crabs go over to the Jax. And he might go hunting here. No, just gonna go down.
No, he's definitely gonna go ganking now. That spell shield is up, so he'll have to. Yep, that spell shield saving that Malzahar.
In the top lane, Bacon Wish is pressuring Slippery, and he's under the tower. He's just going to go down. This is the 3rd time in 4 games here in week 1 that we have seen a top laner just so over-aggressive, trying to get a kill and getting themselves taken down.
It's kind of the opposite of the effect that you're looking for with that kind of early game harassment.
Yeah, Bacon Wish is there, just walked under tower and started looking for the knockup. I don't think Slippery even had to do anything there. Just walked away, let him die to the turret. And there we see perhaps the teleport being burned earlier actually mattering, because when you die before it's back off cooldown, now he has to walk all the way back to lane. Fortunately, the wave was pushed up, so he won't miss as much as if it were not. But an early 800 gold lead over here to 9 lives.
Definitely adding insult to the lack of the teleport is definitely adding insult to injury, as that CS that he's losing is just that much more. Not a great day to be Bacon Wish's at this point.
Now Slippery is stuck around though, and he's relatively low, so he has to be a little bit careful. If he doesn't have knowledge of Spicy Hot Meme's positioning, he should definitely recall. Spicy Hot Meme is in the bottom lane. And a ping just came out. Oh, he must have put a ward over that wall. So they are aware now that someone is there, and you can assume that it's the jungler, of course. So the bottom lane of 9 lives will presumably be safe. In the mid lane, Primden up 5 CS, so a lesser CS lead than he enjoyed in game 1. Looks like Hickey burned that teleport to get back to lane, refresh his mana. And Slippery has just burned his as well to get back to lane. So Bacon Wishes will actually have a teleport advantage coming up in about a minute.
Yeah, exactly, and they did
play around that Infernal Drake.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes teleporting out of a bad matchup, or recalling and then teleporting back into a bad matchup and just spinning that to make sure you don't fall too far behind like CB Hickey is just the best that you can hope for, especially when you've been counterpicked by...
Oh, Gregosaurus gets caught by a bubble, but I don't think Arcane Soda has the damage to really threaten it now. So 3P, he goes in, he gets the flip onto Bacon Wishes, and that's a lot of damage coming out from the shotgun knees, as I like to call it. Oh, great interrupt on the unstoppable onslaught from Nebulon. Can they finish him? He's very low, he's burning down, and Nebulon gets the kill, and that's great to get an influx of gold onto that Jax there. Bacon Wishes is being punished so heavily in this top lane. No flash, no chance out of that game.
Absolutely, and 9 lives is doing a much better job of playing to their win conditions. Let's get that Urgot ahead, let's get that Jax ahead, let's make that split push happen. They're doing a great job of punishing the early flash that they got out of Bacon Wishes.
Flashing from Primiden, and then he didn't ult. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe a bit of a lag issue, but Primiden flashed in, and then the Nethergrass did not come out. So potentially a kill there is lost. Hickey, interesting that Hickey didn't even reactively flash.
Just stood his ground and put on sunglasses.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a very strange interaction. So almost a 2,000 gold lead early on here for 9Lives. So definitely a better start. Baconlicious pushed into his tower now, and it doesn't look like they've considered bringing him down to the bot lane for a play on the Infernal Drake as they did in game 1. Spicy Hot Meme is in the area, but he's on his way towards mid lane. Overall, I'd say things are looking good for 9Lives right now.
Yeah, they'll certainly take this game over their last one at this stage of the game. They already started to fall a little bit behind.
Nebulon's coming down. Gregosaurus gets the slow onto Arcane Soda. They're going to get the stun if they actually proc it. There it goes. And the Chompers did miss, but it doesn't matter. Nebulon jumps in. He actually doesn't get an assist, which is a little bit unfortunate, but they do force the flash from a Maya-Chan as well. So 9Lives up 3-0, almost 2,000 gold. Excuse me, about exactly 2,000 gold. And we'll see if they make a play for this Infernal Drake, which would be so strong on a team with 4 damage dealers.
Yeah, exactly. It's just amplifying it all that much more. There is a teleport advantage on Cyan, so if White Wolf wanted to contest, they could have, but they chose not to. They instead backing up, resetting, accepting that they're going to lose that, and looking at the next stage of the game already.
And 9Lives, they look like they want to rotate mid here. They're bringing 3 members that way. Nebulon backs off, though, so I think maybe just trying to get some vision down. Yeah, Gregosaurus got a deep ward up near the wolves.
Yeah, they were spotted out by a ward, so better players than myself would have never been surprised by that. But if memory serves, about this stage of the game, last game, the focus shifted over to that Rift Herald, and despite being in a bit of a rough spot, 9Lives was able to secure that just off of good macro play, and they could have been looking for something similar there. But it looks like they're
this
just
is about the time in game 1 where White Wolf made their play, bringing the Scion down, and they took their initial advantage, which they never really looked back from. But this time you have Baconlicious, who is behind in the top lane, and Nebulon, who is at a much stronger point. So certainly 9Lives, we talked about this being, you know, basically an identical team comp to game 1, and they would just need to execute better. So far they have. Now Nebulon and Spicy Hot Meme getting in a duel. He doesn't get the stun off of the charge, and now Nebulon, can he get away with the Blast Cone? He does. Good self-control there, as he was winning that duel, but to get out before Baconlicious can get there.
still, Nebulon's Jax has a non-insignificant lead over Spicy Hot Meme in CS from the jungle, and he's got more camps to fall back on as well, or at least an even number of camps. So this Jax is certainly going to be a threat, and I'm not sure that a Spicy Hot Meme really wants to meet Jax in the jungle. It may be better to just track him and clear camps and gank and so forth.
Yeah, I think the majority of the difference in that duel they just had was that Spicy Hot Meme's heroic charge just barely missed getting the pin onto the wall. But still, yeah, absolutely Nebulon becoming more of a threat at this point, at least damage-wise, of course, than the Pocket, which you would expect.
Lots of little skirmishes all over the map. Looks like Slippery's going to get some alone time on that top lane turret. Probably going to get some pressure.
They're bringing Baconlicious down now. He is coming down. Spicy Hot Meme is heading down the river. Teleport is available on Permanent, so maybe this is the time that they're deciding to make the play. I wonder, though, the bot lane of 9Lives backed off a little bit there. You wonder if Slippery has communicated that Baconlicious is coming in with the Unstoppable Onslaught. Gregosaurus blocks it with the Unbreakable, although I'm not sure that actually does anything to the Scion ultimate, but it at least took the blow. It's 1-for-1 right now. Arcane Soda got Gregosaurus, but they did trade back onto Spicy Hot Meme. Nebulon is in there. He is trying to carry this fight. Counter-Strike comes out, but he can't get in range of anyone. Gets the stun onto Baconlicious, but I think he's tanky enough to get away. Look out for that knock-up. Oh boy, everybody here is so low, and I think it will disengage with a 1-for-1, but it was White Wolf who invested more resources into that fight.
Yeah, exactly. They had Cyan walk down. This is not helping out his CS deficit at all. Coming up on 12.5 minutes into the game, he's down 20 CS. It's only going to get worse as he has to walk back into lane or use his teleport. He's just now recalling.
And Slippery got first turret. I mean, he's been alone in that top lane for about 2-3 minutes now, so easy peasy bit of gold for the Urgot. And Brandana has managed to stay in lane in the bottom lane as well. So definitely an overall positive situation for 9 lives. Next
Yeah.
Drake to come up is Ocean. Would expect that to be pretty heavily contested. Now Brandana has to be careful here of not overstaying, because he is still at half health. And he's... Nope. That minion was in range. He knows more than me about that kind of thing, but if White Wolf were to try to return to the scene of the crime here, they have a couple behind 9 lives in the lane, and Crimson does still have his teleport. Maichan could be in trouble here, almost gets stunned up. Super Mega Death Rocket is available for Brandana. Lacy Meme, yeah, he could look for a flash play over, but it's like they're gonna back off the play.
Uh-oh.
Oh, they do catch on to Nebulon in the river, and Gregosaurus is way behind enemy lines. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication there. I think Spicy Meme, if he comes down the lane, or down the river, they get a free kill on Gregosaurus. Instead, they split their attention. Now they're just trying to desperately chase down kills. Teleport coming in from Slippery. He'd better cancel that. Yes, he does. Boy, would that have been more than you bargained for if you teleported into that situation. So, once again, a lot of potential for some kills there, but overall, everyone gets away, and all of a sudden, we're playing a ramp. Super Mega Death Rocket comes out, but not quite able to do the damage at that distance or this point in the game. Arcane Soda gets hit by a couple of slows. That's a little annoying to lose a third of your health in that way. But it looks like everyone will be fine. 9 lives rotate to their bottom lane now towards this middle lane turret.
What's really amazing to me is how much those teams, how many of the resources they were willing to spend to sort of fish for that engage, but how safe they were playing, that despite all of that, they were able to disengage and no one ended up dying. There were some flashes, sure, but there was a lot of posturing in that fight, and it was really interesting to watch what they were willing to commit.
Yeah, I do think that Spicy Hot Meme, he used his charge onto Nebulon up near the mid lane when his bottom lane was pushing Gregosaurus towards him. Gregosaurus has no flash, so I think they probably could have gotten a kill if all three had focused their attention onto that Braum. But in the end, the big man is able to escape, and we say 4-1 in kills.
Speaking of big man, our Vigar is he's doing okay compared to last game, but had a lot of alone time in that bot lane, forces out a teleport from Primed, and that is a resource that isn't always necessary to spend, and it's good to see that that Hickey is having a better match, a better game out of this one.
Yeah, certainly having more success on his pick this time. Pretty close in CS. I believe he was at around 80, maybe 75 CS at this point in game 1. So things going better. He does pick up the Malefic Vision, though, and Spicy Meme is coming down. Event Horizon will stop Primden from pursuing, but I think he's in a lot of trouble. Has to pop the stopwatch. There's the stun. Easy kill. It's a little bit of an overstage. Nebulon shows up with Gregosaurus, but gets knocked away. Can Spicy Meme and Primden escape from this as the entire team of 9 lives is coming down here? Flash in from Slippery. They get onto Spicy Meme. He goes down. Tidal Wave from Amaya trying to disengage things, but I believe, yes, there's Fear Beyond Death, and now it's just up to Baconlicious to try to rescue this fight. Although Gregosaurus and Nebulon have pushed past the turret, they might have gone too far. Gregosaurus goes down. Another knockup is not quite going to land. Great job by Nebulon, stepping out of that knockup and then jumping back over to secure another kill. He gets ignited. I think he'll just walk away from this at this point. No, he wants more, and he gets more. Can he get away from this now as well? Baconlicious walks away. What a sequence for Nebulon. This 4-1 Jax is a terror, but now Slippery, he's going to return the favor from earlier in the game. He actually does get the kill at least, but gives up the shutdown. Top laner walking under turrets is a theme today, apparently, but at least it's a trade for Slippery in this situation. Rift Herald to come out now.
So I have never played against Nebulon's Jaxes personally because I refuse to. He is such a terror on that Jax.
Oh, Brandana. Oh, nice flash. Yeah, he did a lot of work in that. Can Spicy Meme get in here for the smite? He does manage to get it, and he also is able to get away without getting hit by the counter-strike. So a nice play from Spicy Meme to maybe staunch the bleeding that had been happening from White Wolf.
Flashes all over the map this whole game. Looks like they're going to secure
Nebulon
one.
going in again onto a Maichan. Event Horizon. That Nami sushi. And Spicy Hot Meme just going to have to limp away. Baconlicious shows up, gets a knock-up down onto Nebulon, and you wonder, yeah, I think 9 Lives, they overstepped a little bit there. Get the shutdown onto Nebulon, and that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, he had a lot of gold on him, or the bounty was a lot. Still a 4K, 5K, 4K, math is hard, lead for 9 Lives. So game is still heavily in their favor, but a little bit of breath of life for Team White Wolf off of that shutdown.
Yeah, I've always talked about, particularly at, no offense to our players, but particularly at a more amateur level of League of Legends compared to pro play, it's such a game of momentum, of ebbs and flows. And when a game seems to be getting away from you, little things like an Ocean Drake steal and a trade kill or a shutdown can just help to reset your mentality. Get you back in the game, at least mentally.
Yeah, exactly. A
Right
little
now.
bit of good news goes a long way.
Yeah, when fights just keep not going your way, things just keep not going your way, it really wears on you. So to get something back is just very, very helpful. That's a nice little thing I sometimes forget about, that the Jinx rockets do pop the Malzahar shield if he gets hit by the AoE of that.
Yeah, popping that Malzahar shield is its own little mini game in every game of League. There's a Malzahar.
Slippery could be in trouble here. Gets hit by the bubble. He did manage to walk away from the knockup, but now Gregor's pinned against the wall. It looks like this Braum will be going down. No way out. Arcane Soda finishes it off. Only 3 strong for 9 Lives in mid lane right now compared to 5 for White Wolf. And that's another little victory going over to the team that still has a 4,000k gold deficit. 4,000k, that's not right, but you know, I just...
And that was off the back of a beautiful tidal wave off of a Maya Trans Nami. It knocked up all 3 players that were in the area, and it was cleaned up quite nicely by the rest of the team. Vygar, CB Hickey's Vygar is getting a lot of solo farm time. This is something that you gotta be worried about. He's up to 99 stacks. If you remember last game, he only had about 100 in the whole thing. So the fact that he's already there, he's much more of a threat this game than he was last.
Absolutely, and yeah, we talked about how, you know, 9 Lives, they only had 3 people in that mid lane there. That's why they lost the kill. But you had Hickey over in the sideways, getting that free farm, getting those stacks. And so, in a way, you almost might say worse, since White Wolf didn't get any objectives off of that pick.
Exactly. Although you do have to be careful about how much time you let them buy and all that. But and I think it's about time that the team starts shifting their focus over to the objectives. Baron is up, although it is really early to go for a Baron.
White Wolf are looking for another catch in this mid lane. They have pretty much had 5 members here for about 90% of the last 3 minutes of this game. This mid lane turret is low, and I think they will be able to bully 9 Lives off of it. Yes, they will get it down. But Nebulon in the top lane is just split pushing like a demon with all this gold. That old satisfying sound of Jax flailing on a turret. But they do get onto Hickey, and they burn him down. Baconlicious is going to go down, but now Zombie Scion, he's onto your Jinx. Oh no! People keep ignoring the Zombie Scion, and he keeps turning things around. Now Slippery, he's done a good job getting to the backline though and exchanging things, and actually that ends up being a 3 for 3, and there's a Jax getting onto an inhibitor turret.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy team fight with a lot of solid plays. Slippery flashes forward and gets a double kill with a shotgun, with a knee shotgun. A fight
Nebulon
happening.
is just going to try to kill Spicy Hot Meme under the tower. He does get it, and he might be able to... Oh, he stayed under the turret. I thought if he maybe could have kited away from that turret aggro. But in any case, he does get a trade kill. And that Jax is, safe to say, online.
Yeah, tiny little nuance that I noticed in that is that Primedin used his active from the Hextech Gunblade, which does slow your enemy, the champion that you activated on, which is why Jax couldn't get out of the turret.
I think Slippery might be in trouble here. This could be a good shutdown for White Wolf. They can find it. Gregor Source being a bro and blocking everything that he can, and the Urgot will crab walk his way to safety.
Yeah, that was absolutely a great play coming out of Gregosaurus. Got in range for that Guardian proc to provide the shield that kept Slippery from being burned down from the Ignite. That blockable shield popping up and preventing all future damage. That was very clean.
So as we take stock after an action-packed few minutes, it's a 5,000 gold lead on the side of 9 Lives, and I would still say that they have the scaling advantage. So I think it's up to White Wolf to try to make a few plays.
And this goes back to their win conditions. This time, 9 Lives is doing a much better job of playing to their split push win condition. They've got Vigar in one lane, they've got Jax in the other, and they're trading evenly while outnumbered.
Second Infernal Drake potentially on the board for 9 Lives, and with 4 damage dealers on your side, that is so valuable. And on the side of White Wolf, that means that it's so much more imperative that you stop this. Event Horizon is down. We'll see if White Wolf tries to take advantage of this. They knock the Braum away, so there's very little protection. Nebulon does manage to secure the Drake, but I think the rest of the team is going to have to run away. He's going to go down. That's another kill onto this Fed Jax, and now Slippery is just in the middle of the team trying to distract them. The rest of 9 Lives should just leave at this point, I think. They lose 2 kills. They get a shutdown. Actually, Gregosaurus is forced to flash away from the bubble. This turret is still alive. I wonder if White Wolf will try to aggress under it. It looks like 9 Lives are going to be able to get away at this point. With a second Infernal Drake, here comes Unstoppable Onslaught, though. He wants to get onto someone. He doesn't. Oh, he does find Hickey with the last bit of drip. And now he's taking up the turret. He can tank it forever. Spicy Hot Meme. He gets onto Brandana. They do finish off the Jinx, and he will stay alive. Gregosaurus gone as well. That's an ace for White Wolf Gaming. Right back in it now.
We were talking about win conditions a moment ago. White Wolf's win condition is win that team fight, and that boy did they ever. Next up is
such a key moment when Nebulon got caught. I believe it was by the Poppy W. He couldn't get in for a good stun. He couldn't get out. Just had to go down, and I think the rest of the team just hesitated for a moment. I think they could have disengaged that with limited casualties, but there was a little bit of indecision. They ended up all getting caught. They do get the second Infernal, but this game takes on a whole new feel after that fight.
Right, exactly. That gold lead is down to 2k. It's much later in the game. That's basically even. Team White Wolf is in a great position, at least compared to where they were before. Silver lining for Team 9 Lives is Baron is still up. They didn't collect that off the back of that team fight, and that they did secure the Infernal Drake, but it's turning into a very close game.
Yeah, certainly you would still say that 9 Lives in an advantageous situation, but quite less advantageous than it was 2 minutes ago. And they're looking for another fight. I love the aggression with this Scion ultimate. They are just going on cooldown almost. They've gotten onto Slippery again. He is pretty tanky, but he's suppressed, and I think he's going to go down. Gregosaurus trying to be a bro again, but he's going to go down as well. They knock up Nebulon on the side. There's the Mega Death Rocket, though, to pick up one back. So it's a 2-for-1 right now. I think the fight may diffuse at this point. But White Wolf again coming out with a good situation. Baconlicious is relentless on this chase. They do have to respect Hickey up on the ramparts with that Event Horizon. But White Wolf, yeah, it seems like almost every time that Onslaught is available, they are pulling the trigger and finding something good with it.
Yeah, exactly. And just like you said, they are using that very aggressively to start fights, to force the fight, and that is absolutely what they need to do to win. They need to keep doing that. Shout out to Gregosaurus' Unbreakable Wall. It's a fun interaction. I don't know if everyone knows it, but he actually stopped the Nami ult before it even got a chance to start by canceling it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about 9 Lives, the split push potential of their composition, but what's the best way to counter split push is hard engage. And White Wolves have done that properly the last few minutes.
And even now, right now, 9 Lives is setting up here vision on Baron, but they're all together. They're not fighting to their own win condition, and that is set up because White Wolf is getting vision control of the Baron. They're forcing that attention on Baron.
And I'm sure 9 Lives realizes that split pushing is to their advantage, but at the same time, when you get engaged on that many times in a row and it goes poorly for you that many times in a row, it makes you shy away from things like having your Jax across the map. Now, you have Nebulon dueling with Baconlicious down bottom, and a nice Event Horizon to zone out the fight. Nebulon actually jumps in alone. Spicy Hot Meme is zoning out a lot of the team. Hickey's taken extremely low. Nebulon jumps in. I think he's going to get onto Arcane Soda, and the Xayah is gone. That's a huge pick. Hickey takes down Spicy Hot Meme. It looks like Nine Lives have found the scab to stop the hemorrhaging. Hickey's gonna go down. Zombie Scion is a monster today in week 1 of the LCUS, but it's still a 3-for-1, and I think they can turn for an easy Baron here.
Absolutely, and they very much should. It is 3 versus 2. It's 4 versus 2. Maybe get the turret first, but
yeah, they're face tanking a turret. I think they have time to get this and then retreat for Baron. Nebulon is going for Wolves, so it looks like they don't want to go for Baron, which is very surprising to me given that split pushing is especially great with Baron buff.
yeah, exactly. You know, their win condition is split pushing. You know, it makes that even easier, even better, even more of a win condition, having Baron. But ultimately, they decided not to do it, and they do have.
Very surprised by that decision because not only did you have a 4-for-2 advantage, but you have a Jinx and a Jax that just burn down objectives so fast. And the 2 members alive for White Wolf were Malzahar and Nami. There is basically no steal potential from those 2 characters. And now Slippery's getting caught, and White Wolf could be in position to push the Baron. They are going right for it. Oh my goodness, Nine Lives may have made a critical missed call in my opinion here.
And to play devil's advocate, because this does very much look like it's going over to White Wolf, there were mini waves pushing both of the lanes. They did have to address that. They were pretty low. It could have been turned. It may have not been the safest turn I've ever seen.
Oh! That might have been a steal, but no, the Mega Death Rocket does just pick up a kill. Hickey gets one as well. So, 2 kills, but Baron over to White Wolf. And now Hickey might be caught. Spicy Hot Meme going in. There isn't really much damage here for White Wolf, though. And Spicy Hot Meme is going to get stunned up by the Braum passive. A nice ultimate will stop Bacon Wishes from being able to help. He will just charge away. And now Nebulon looking for Primden. Can you get onto him? He does get suppressed. Does he have the damage to outduel him? The stopwatch. Nebulon gonna go down. And Primden, that's the moment where you just spam the question mark in chat.
That's
Nebulon, maybe some over-aggression there. You have to respect Primden at this point. 6, 1, and 10. This guy has a lot of gold in his coffers.
Yeah, absolutely. And indeed, he's putting on a great performance on this Malzahar, one of his signature picks, to counteract or to provide some counterbalance on their team for the Xayah, who is that hard carry. But Primden is putting in so much work today.
And you have 9 lives starting up this Mountain Drake here, but they're down their jungler, who is a significant gold share, and yeah, they essentially just leashed it for White Wolf. See if maybe they can get a steal with the Jinx, or if they decide to contest. Slippery coming around. It has that 1 health, and it's picked up by Arcane Soda. Event Horizon comes out. Now here comes Spicy Hot Meme. He gets the stun onto Slippery. That's not necessarily the best target, but they will be able to do a ton of damage. Breakersaurus is going to go down. They do get the Fear Beyond Death onto Spicy Hot Meme. It's a 2-for-1 right now, but Jinx is free firing from the back. That's a double kill. Can she get one more crit? She flashes in looking for the Scion. Bacon Wishes is dead to rights, and that's picked up by Hickey. And look at Brandana. He is on the chase. He wants more. He could get a quadra. There it is. It is a full ace, and these are long death timers right now.
That was insane. That was a quadra kill on Brandana after such a terrible set of, they did not want that fight. Brandana said, no, I did want that fight. I am going to walk away with a quadra kill. Respect my Jinx.
Well, that's what happens when you have just essentially artillery in the form of Jinx firing for free. We saw the quick 2 kills on the side of White Wolf to start that fight, but the problem is that no one was hitting the carries.
And their cooldowns were down, and calling out that the Xayah is so much of the damage share that the moment Xayah died, that was it. There was no more team fight. You saw them try to disengage.
Yeah, absolutely. You called that during Champion Select as well, that, Malzahar can do a decent amount, but he's not going to carry a fight on his own. And now we could potentially have the last fight of the game right here. Arcane Soda. Oh, what a snipe by Brandana to finish. And that gets the Jinx excited. Spicy Hot Meme has to run away. Bacon Wish is going to go down. Zombie Scion, how much work can you do this time, my friend? Looks like it's not going to be enough. CB Hickey got a double kill. Brandana is chasing him onto the fountain. And this is going to be the 1-1. Oh, no. I think that Brandana may have stepped onto the fountain and died there. But they still have Nebulon to burn down these turrets. It's going to be the 1-1. 9 lives, able to salvage this series. A much better performance here in Game 2.
And with basically the same comp like you called out. It was either going to work or not. But they made it work. They wanted it to work, so it happened. 32-minute game, well played, team. 9 lives, a fantastic series, 1-1 overall.
Yeah, I think both teams showed flashes that they can be contenders this season within that series. Obviously, extremely impressive from White Wolf in game 1, and not a bad showing from them in game 2 either, to be honest. But Brandana stepping up in those last couple team fights. Hickey playing pretty well as well. Gregosaurus doing his job, dying, of course, but that's support life, I suppose. Really solid effort, I think, from both sides in this series.
That is it for the series. We're going to get the next one set up for you, but there will be a brief break in the stream, and I'll see you all in a couple of moments.